Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's review will be at the Forest of Arden. For those that don't know, the Forest of Arden has two courses. We will be playing the Aylesford Course today. The Forest of Arden is based about 20 minutes outside of Birmingham. We will be playing off the yellow tees today, and the Aylesford is a par 69 and playing a little over 5,500 yards. Hole 1 is a mid-length par 4 at 370 yards. The tee shot here should be anything around 220 yards, as this will find the widest gap in the fairway. Anything longer than that, the fairway starts to bottleneck and the trees also get quite thick down that left hand side there. Down the right hand side you'll see a clump of trees, so the ideal shot would be anything down the left hand side here. The green is protected down the left hand side with two large bunkers, or as you'll see in the video, a small lake. The green slopes from back to front, with the widest part at the back of the green. I'd recommend playing to the back of the green, mainly just to avoid these bunkers, and to be honest there's plenty of room out to the right hand side of the green. Hole 2, and a long par 4 at 440 yards. The difficulty here is that the trees get very narrow at about 230 yards. You can play short of these, but this is going to leave you a very long shot into the green, over 200 yards for sure. I would recommend treating this like a short par 5. At stroke index 2 it will mean that most golfers will have at least one shot. Once you get past the trees, the fairway turns slightly left. The shot into the green is also a difficult one. You've got thick trees and rough down the left hand side. You've got a large bunker down the right, and anything further to the right of that you'll find yourself in real thick rough. If you do choose the layup, this should minimise the risks of finding yourself into a lot of trouble. Once you are at the green slopes from left to right, and does get very slippery when you are putting downhill. So if you can find yourself putting uphill for the putts, this will give you a good chance for 2 putts. Hole 3 is a short par 5 and only 29 yards longer than the previous hole. A good opportunity here to get some points on your scorecard. Off the tee though, this is a very narrow shot with the fairways either side, so missing big isn't actually the end of the world on this shot. If you do choose to play in regulation for this hole, a tee shot of around 230 yards will allow you to miss most of the trouble and find the gaps within the trees. As you'll see, I didn't play the best shot off the tee, so I was still left with around 220 yards into the green, and this left me slightly in between clubs, so I opted to lay up and give myself the yardage that I wanted into the green. The shot into the green, you will have 2 bunkers short of the green. However, the green is fairly flat. Aim for the middle of the green and you should have no problems in getting a 2 put here. Hole 4 and a straightforward par 3. One small bunker on the left hand side, and you do play into quite a large green. Anything down the right here will be out of bounds, so aim to the left of the green and that should give you the best shot in. Anything short and you'll find some thick rough. Anything too long you'll fall down the back of the green, and this will leave you a tough up and down from the back there. Once at the green is fairly flat the whole way around. However, due to the size of the green, there is a more than likely chance of a 3 put here depending where the pin is positioned. Hole 5 is a short par 4 at only 270 yards. For some golfers this is probably reachable in one, however I really wouldn't recommend it. There is a brook that runs diagonally cutting across the fairway at about 200 to 230 yards. So unless you've got a 230 yard carry in your locker, I'd lay up to anything at about 200 yards, and that should give you no more than a short wedge into the green. Off the tee, anything down the right again will be all out of bounds. So what I would do is aim for the gap that's in between the 2 trees that you'll see off the tee. This will give you plenty of space to attack the green from here. Probably the difficult part of this green is actually just due to the size of this green. The green is massive, and again you can quite easily rack up a 3-4 putt here without even being in the wrong position. Therefore, just play the yardage to the middle of the green and you probably can't go too far wrong there. Hole 6 is a short par 3, but the opposite of the last hole, this green is tiny. There's a bunker protecting most of the green short left. There's also all kinds of trouble down the left hand side, and anything long and right will also be in the thick stuff. You will see on the video that there is a bank to the green, and this is on the back left. Again, not a bad place to miss, as this should give you plenty of green to work with. The green itself is sort of sloped towards the front, and the back portion of the green is flat, so depending where the pin is, I would recommend aiming for the back of the green, as this will miss most of the trouble. Hole 7 and a short par 4. A difficult tee shot, as you'll see the gap in between the trees is small, and all you're looking at is the fairway bunkers. These bunkers come at roughly 230 yards. Playing a shot anything around 200 to 220 yards will be the optimal shot here. This will allow you to miss the trouble and will also only leave you with a short wedge in hand to get up to the green. Another difficult element is that the hole has water short left, which comes at roughly 260 yards off the tee. Unless you've got a 270 yard carry, certainly wouldn't attempt this, so just keep the ball in the fairway, keep it short of the bunkers, and you can't go too far wrong on this hole. The shot into the green, again just aim for the middle of the green. This should take out most of the trouble, and if you are going to miss, I'd recommend missing short right. This again should give you a good chance of getting up and down. The green itself is like an upturned saucer, so anything that is slightly off hit will also just trickle down towards the edge of the green. Hole 8, and what looks like a very open shot off the tee. I'd recommend taking aim to the left hand side of the fairway bunker that you'll see in the distance. Aiming to play again another 200 yard shot, this should also leave you nothing more than a wedge in hand. The hole does dogleg to the left, and the shot up to the green does play slightly uphill. If you do miss short, there is a large dip in front of the green, so I'd also recommend just playing to the middle or to the back of the green, as this should give you plenty of opportunities to putt here. If you are at the back like I found myself, this is quite a long putt. It does play slightly downhill from the back of the green, so depending where the pin is positioned, you might find yourself with either an uphill or a downhill putt. To finish off the front nine, this is a really inviting tee shot. You'll see some bushes over to the left hand side. Past that, the fairway completely opens out. It is a quite big rough down the left hand side there, so if you can play anything over 200 yards, this should get you past those bushes on the left. Down the right hand side there's also a brook, and it's the same brook that you saw on hole 8. So I'd recommend pulling your biggest club, aiming down the left hand side of the fairway. Once you get past the bushes, the hole turns slightly down to the right and is a completely downhill shot towards the green. The green itself has 2 bunkers at the entrance to the green, so I'd recommend playing the distance to either the middle or to the back of the green to avoid all of the trouble. This green is quite a decent size, and as you get to the green you'll notice that there is a bit of a slope from left to right. And if you do miss the green, there is plenty of space all around this green for you to chip back onto. Hole 10, a relatively short par 3 at 140 yards. However, this hole is surrounded by trouble. There's water short, so you'll need to carry anything over 120 yards to clear this, and it's not exactly the biggest gap to get through either. The hole play is a few yards uphill, so take the club that you'll get to comfortably get to the back of the green. The miss here is long right, and certainly don't find yourself in the bunker that I was in. As you can see, this was an absolute nightmare to try and get out of. Once you do get to the green, this is a fairly small green, so if you do find yourself on the putting surface, then 2 putts should be fairly realistic here. Hole 11 is a very difficult tee shot, as you cannot see where the fairway goes past those bushes and the big tree there. I do feel that the aiming post is a little bit too far to the right. You do want to be aiming a little bit probably in between the tree and the yardage post. So there's two trees that you'll see in the distance, and they're on the right hand side of the fairway. So aiming to the left of those will give you a good shot at hitting the fairway. From the fairway you'll be playing up to the green, and this play is about 10 yards longer than what you need. So probably would recommend playing the yardage to the back of the green again, as this should get you clear of the bunkers and sit at the front, and also allow for that elevation change. The green itself has a lip all the way around, so if you do play a little bit too quick, then this will act as a bit of a backstop. Once you are at the green is reasonably flat, not too much difficulty there. Hole 12 and the longest par 3 on the course. The line here is the tree that is in the background. There's two small bunkers in the middle and to the right of the green, so I would recommend playing more than enough club to get you to the middle of the green. The tee box does pull you a little bit down the left hand side, however this is not a bad miss, as there's absolutely acres of space over to the left hand side there. When you do eventually get to the green, you'll find that this is fairly flat. It is quite a spacious green, so just be careful of where the pin is, as 3 putt might be on the cards here. Hole 13 and stroke index 1. Tough decision as to how close you're willing to get to the trees that cut across the fairway at about 280 yards. I would recommend playing somewhere around 230 yards. This should give you a perfect opportunity to get up or around the trees that cut across. Anything too far left and you'll find a water hazard. Anything too far right and you're just risking out being blocked, and also finding really thick rough down that right hand side. Also, the shot into the green isn't exactly easy either. If you do successfully manage to navigate past the trees, the green here is tiny, plus all of the right hand side is out of bounds. So the safe play is anything to the left of the green, as this should also give you a fairly straightforward up and down. The green itself is protected by a bunker at short right. Also, the green is like an upturned down saucer, so hopefully all putts, depending where the pin is, should be uphill, so again a nice one for you to go and attack. Hole 14 and another inviting tee shot. Off the tee, this shot will play mostly downhill. Once you get to about 280 yards, then it starts to raise up again towards the green. The tee box does naturally push you out to the right, but the ideal line is probably actually aiming straight for the green. And anything that is pushed out right or does leak out right, you'll only find the fairway, and there's only a few trees sort of sprinkled down that side of the fairway. Anything too far left will be out of bounds and into the thick trees that line the whole way down the left hand side of the fairway. Once you get to the green has two bunkers on the short side, with the green being split roughly around the middle of the green. So the front portion is sloped down towards you and the back portion is fairly flat. So depending where the pin is, you may have yourself a nice uphill putt. Hole 15 and another good risk and reward hole here. In the distance you'll see two trees and there's a really narrow gap at roughly 250 yards out. It will take a good drive to get past these trees, so what I would recommend is playing up to the trees but give yourself enough opportunity to get round or through the trees. The perfect shot here should be about 230 yards and this will leave you about 160 to 180 yards into the green. Once you get past these trees, the hole turns slightly down to the right and is perfectly flat all the way up to the green. At the green there is a huge bunker down the right hand side, so I'd recommend aiming roughly down the left hand side just to try and avoid this bunker. Once you get to the green slopes from left to right. Ideally you want to try and keep this down the left hand side of the green. then you might have a downhill putt depending where the pin is. Hole 16 and another par 3. The difficulty here is trying to get past the bunkers that are short of the green. I would recommend giving yourself enough club to get to the back of the green. Depending where the pin is, this green is massive, so the chance of having a 3-putt here is quite high. However, if you do go slightly long on the tee shot, then there is a bank surrounding the entire green, so it almost acts like a bit of a backstop. The green itself slopes from back to front, so again, depending where the pin is, you may find yourself with a couple of uphill putts towards the pin like we did. Hole 17 and another inviting tee shot. The line here is to aim for the bunker that's to the left of the green. This will then allow for any miss either left or right. If you do go left, you'll find the rough, and that has a few trees sort of dotted down the entire fairway. Anything to the right has a sort of thick wooded area. However, there is a bit of a gap and it's almost like a triangle. So if you do find yourself in that wooded area, you should be able to quite easily get out of, get yourself back onto the fairway and give yourself a shot at the green. The shot into the green, you'll need to get past the 2 bunkers that are short. To be honest, long here isn't exactly a bad option. If you do miss slightly long, it should be a fairly straightforward trip up and down to get back onto the green. Also, there is plenty of space out to the left and right of the green. So if you are going to miss, this isn't a bad green to miss at all. The green itself actually has plenty of undulations to the green, so depending where the pin is and depending where you find yourself, you may have a tricky read to try and get yourself down for 2. And finally, hole 18. To be honest, the camera doesn't do it justice just how dark it was when we played. It really was completely pitch black, and we really shouldn't have been playing there, to be perfectly honest. However, this is quite a nice par 5 to finish off with. The tee shot here should be aiming towards the bunkers that are in the middle of the fairway. These come at roughly 260 yards, so you want to find yourself a little bit short of these if you can. Anything too far right and you'll find yourself having to play over a group of trees, which won't be easy given the height of the trees. However, anything down the left will give you a sort of fairly straightforward shot to lay up towards the green. Shot into the green, however, you are completely blocked out by trees. You've probably got no more than about 15 yards to try and find the gap. There's also a little pond to the right of the green as well, and you'll also be playing towards the hotel, so anything too long and you're probably going to hit the hotel at this point. If I would have known actually just how small this gap was, I certainly wouldn't have gone for the green in 2, as I still had about 200 yards in for that second shot. Give yourself the opportunity to, like I say, lay up and give yourself a comfortable yardage to try and get through the trees. Once you do get to the green, this green is absolutely tiny and also, like I say, very well protected. Once you get onto the green, however, again a really small green, so a 2-putt is more than likely on the cards here. So, on to the review. As with all the previous reviews, we have broken this down into 3 sections, and I'll be giving each a score out of 5, and this will be based on the facilities, the course, and also the value for money. For the general feel and facilities, I've given this a 5 out of 5. As a visiting golfer, I don't think you can ask for sort of any better facilities. As soon as you enter the drive, you sort of know that you're in for a sort of really good facility. Nice long drive, you drive through part of the golf course and it just looks fantastic as soon as you sort of get in view of the hotel there. The Forest of Arden has hosted European Tour events, so it sort of goes without saying that the facilities are really sort of top notch. There's a full driving range, there's a very large put-in area, there's a really large practice chipping area as well. So to be honest, I can't really fault anything that the facilities has to offer. For the course condition, I'm going to give this a score of 4 out of 5. Considering the time of the year and when we played, it was exceptionally wet the day before. It didn't look particularly too wet. It was a little bit wet underfoot in places, but most of the course was pretty good. The course also didn't look particularly overplayed, and considering it is part of the Forest of Arden facility and it is the cheaper course that is in the facility, it just played really, really well. The fairways are really well cut, the greens are really well cut, and the tee box is also, pretty good there. The only slight negative of this was some of the greens had quite a few unrepaired pitch marks. Obviously nothing to do with the course itself, but like I say, that is part and parcel of it being really, really wet. For the course difficulty, I've given this a 2 out of 5. I didn't play particularly well on the day, and I still managed to score 36 points. This course is forgiving in places. It can get a bit punishing if you do miss a bit too far. However, the rough is pretty good and quite easy to play out of. Some of the fairways aren't particularly heavily tree lined, so if you are going to miss, then it is quite easy to get a sort of decent shot for that next shot. I also didn't feel that any of the greens were too difficult. They were nice and consistent, and I couldn't fault the overall feel of the greens, so that was really good to note. For the course layout, I've given this a 3 out of 5. Considering it was quite a short course, each and every hole did feel quite different. Different sort of angles, different turns, different sort of approaches, and you did have to actually think about quite a lot of the shots that you were playing into the green or you're playing off the tee. So even though it is a 5,500 yard course, it wasn't a course that you could particularly overpower. However, the only slight negative is that there wasn't a particular signature hole, which for most courses you could probably pinpoint a particular signature hole. I didn't feel like there was one that really stood out for me. Finally, the value. We paid £27.50 for the round, which, all things considered, I thought was considerably cheap. So I'm going to give this a score of 4 out of 5. The facilities were fantastic and, like I say, a really exceptional standard. The course was very well presented and it didn't appear to be a cheap course. And like I say, for £27.50, most people are probably going to want to try and play the Arden course. We will get round to playing this next year. And for the money, I don't think you can argue at £27.50. I do have to make one more comment. The pace of play was so slow. We were waiting on every hole pretty much after hole 3, and this really did sort of have a negative effect of the whole experience. We were following a 4-ball, and they were following two groups of 2, and there should be no reason for this sort of delay. We ended up teeing off at 2:30, and we nearly didn't get back until 7 o'clock, and as you will have seen on the video, it was pitch black by the time we finished. The video really doesn't do it justice just how dark it was going into 16 and all the way through to 18. And the group that was following us, they were a 2-ball. Again, they were sort of being hung up by each and every shot, and they actually walked off after the 9th hole, which was a bit of a shame. They probably travelled quite a long way to get there, so a bit of a shame for their round there. So this will work out to a score of 18 out of 25 and a very, very good score. We will get round to playing the Arden course next year, so it'll be interesting just to see how much different that sets up. The next video will be a par 3 course actually. This is called the Ladine Golf Club in Wolverhampton. So keep an eye out for that video. If you've liked what you saw on this video, please subscribe to the channel, like the videos. Also, any comments will also be appreciated. Thanks guys, see you next time.